Hello, everybody. This is Dan Robinson, the owner of Willow Soul Productions, and I'd like to introduce you to our all new interview series. It's going to be called Roots of the Soul, and we're going to try to do one every month featuring new bands and local artists that I enjoy. Thanks for sticking around. Hope you enjoy.
Hey everybody, how we doing tonight? I'm hanging out with the guys from Vigil. They're a New England death doom metal band. Close friends of mine, and I just really want to hang out with them guys and introduce you to their music. This is Craig and Joe. I'm going to let Craig do his little intros, and then we'll talk to you.
All right. Well, so we're the band Vigil, like Dan said. We're a death doom type band with other elements. Of course, all bands have many genres mixed into them, and we do a lot of post-rock stuff and a lot of ambient stuff that's synth-based too. A lot of pretty work, but then we also have the aggressive work.
Pretty work.
Almost funeral doom sometimes too, like the growls that our singer Dave puts forth.
Definitely heard some of that. Dave's
It's
awesome.
very Ahab-like in a way, like very slow and guttural. But overall, it's a bunch of old dudes trying to make music that we like,
We are old.
that we want to hear, because the local scene's amazing, right? I've found some bands in the local scene the past decade. I go to a lot of local shows. Me and Joe go to a lot of local shows, and all kinds too, like whether it's post rock or just even hard rock bands, metal bands, death metal bands. I've gone to all kinds, and there's an amazing group of people in New England and a network. That's one of the things about Vigil that's kind of different, is that we have two bass players. So Vigil came out of the ashes of Onera. Onera was a band that me and Justin Christian were in.
From Morgion.
From Morgion and King of the Crow. And Onera, like most things in life, came to an end, right? And when it ended, me and Justin were kind of like, well, we still want to do stuff, right? So what are we going to do next? The jam room was empty. It was just his and I stuff in there, and we cleaned the room out, started off clean slate.
So you guys just sitting there like,
Right.
what are we going to do?
And we wiped off all the whiteboards. And we actually wrote a mantra. We wrote the word huge, but we wrote it real small in the middle of the giant whiteboard. Huge.
I could say
Right?
something,
It
but
was
I
like,
won't.
we're huge. And then we're like, well, how do we get to be huge, like sounding? Not huge meaning like Metallica. We want
Not
to be
ego-wise.
I want to sound big. I want to be heavy and thick, right? So I'm like, we need two bass players. Justin's
do it.
like, you know what? That's something we should try. So Justin and I started to write new music that was going to become Vigil eventually, right? And we started fooling around with some riffs. We maybe had two songs, not done, but like ideas of these two songs.
Kind of
Seeds.
leftovers from the other
Seeds.
project? Or
No, not even. They were like fresh things. We just started jamming in the room, right?
Just you and Justin? Okay.
Yeah, because we were paying for the room already, right? So we're like, we must as well fucking
Yeah,
use
yeah.
this thing once in a while.
Fuck
so
yeah.
we'd go down trying to maintain the schedule, and that's one of the things too about being older in a band, right? Like, if you don't put it on a calendar or make it a schedule, it doesn't happen because life happens. Now I'm at work, I'm at home, I'm
Married
going out,
life,
whatever, right?
jobs, whatever,
But
yeah.
if it's on a schedule, everyone that's important in your
Gotta be
life
there.
knows that that's your schedule, and you're like, I can't do it this day and this day, and it works, right? So that's really important, at least for
So
me.
who was next in the line? Like, when did
It was
he come
Joe.
in?
So me and Justin were jamming, writing some songs, and then we're like, well, who are we going to bring for another bass player? And I happened to have just started a new job, and I met Joe at my last job I had. And the thing about Joe is, I'm going to gush a little bit about Joe, I guess. The thing about Joe is, Joe just loves music, right?
Hell yeah.
Whether it's heavy or not, like, he just fucking loves music, right? And he's a listener, so he listens to it, and he has opinions about what he likes and doesn't like. He's very defined. And that's what I like. I appreciate that in somebody, right?
Absolutely.
So Joe had been in, I don't want to speak for him, he'll speak for himself after. I'm kind of introducing him here, but, Joe had been in bands in the past, local bands, cover stuff,
Well,
original
asked him about his
stuff.
bands, yeah.
He's been doing stuff, and then he just kind of, like all of us, he kind of just stopped doing it, right? Because life takes over.
Fucking sucks.
But he has that passion. He loves music, right? So he ended up becoming my concert buddy first. Like, I ended up losing that through time. Like, I wasn't going to concerts anymore because all my friends were busy raising kids, whatever. And Joe was at a point in his life like I was where he can go to concerts all the time. So the year before the pandemic, him and I went to about 35 shows in that year.
Wow.
Like, local
Jesus.
shows, dude. It was crazy. So what happened was, him and I, before I brought him in to, like, start jamming with Justin, I wanted to make sure that he'd be cool and that he was going to work,
Can't
right?
get along with Justin, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
So him and I kind of jammed once in a while offline in that room without Justin to like just say, hey, here's some riffs. What do you play? I want to see how he felt. And out of the gate, like he has a great feel for a bass player. Like he has a great sense of timing and he has a great sense of pocket.
So tell us about your past a little bit.
So my past is a little awkward. Well, it's not awkward, but to interject on the timeline a little bit, I had met him at work, and at the time I was not playing at all.
Okay.
My son, I think he was 14 at the time.
You guys both machinists? Is that what?
No.
Well, he's a former machinist, but where we met, we were quality engineers in a machine shop.
Okay.
So we sat right beside one another. Our desks were, practically adjoined.
Cubicle buddies.
Not
Yeah.
knowing that you were metal allies.
Actually, we didn't even know that at first.
We met through rally racing.
Yeah,
Really?
I happened to walk by and see him watching rally videos, and I was like, "Whoa!"
Hey, now.
There's not a whole lot of rally fans in this country. It's the most popular motorsport worldwide, but it's almost like soccer, where soccer is the most popular
But it's
sport
no
in the
football.
world.
Yeah.
But in the United States, no. We have
Forget
football
about it.
here. Well, that's kind of what rally is. Rally is the soccer for the rest of the world, but we have NASCAR. NASCAR and football are the United States, and rally and soccer are the rest of the world. So when I saw him watching rally videos, instantly my interest was piqued. And then it became, you're into metal too, and I noticed that he had a vanity plate.
Yeah.
The vanity plate was his band's name, and I could never pronounce it right. I didn't know what it was supposed to say.
Unra, yeah, no
Right.
idea what
That
that was.
name, yeah.
So at the time, I wasn't playing at all.
Onero was another band that you were part of.
Onero's a
With
Latin
Justin.
word, which
so
means
some members of
burden.
Vigil. Some members of Vigil. What is it?
It's a Latin word that means burden.
Burden. Okay.
Or it also means those things we carry.
It's a
So
cool name.
it made sense to me because
It's very cool.
lyrically, like the lyrics that were written for it are very about.
Did you write the lyrics? Some.
No, Justin brought those lyrics in on almost all of them.
Okay.
So here's what happened. So
Yeah.
Onera was more of a progressive doom band,
Yeah, tell us about the band.
more
first.
than Vigil's very aggressive. Onera's more pretty.
Definitely more proggy.
Right?
More
Yeah.
proggy.
If I compared Onera to something, I would say it's like Tool and Pink Floyd had a baby. It's
With
very,
the heavier.
it's
yeah,
very
yeah.
that, right? So we had one EP we did with 3 songs, and that was with a different singer with Curtis singing, and it had Tim Donovan on guitar from Watchmaker and December Wolves.
Yep.
And it had Scott Mayo on drums. Really, really, really
Awesome drummer.
great drummer.
Yeah.
And then things fell apart between that and the second album we were working on, so we lost Tim and the singer. So we needed to...
Tough loss right there.
So what happened was me, Justin, and Scott wrote all the stuff for the second album, and then we used that to try to find 2 more people.
New members.
Right? Because you really can't go to a guy and say, hey, we have no music, but you want to join us. They want to hear what you have coming up.
Yeah.
So we ended up writing the album and recording it with no singer. And then we used it to find people, right? Okay. So anyway, due to the pandemic, which is strange, the pandemic actually wasn't bad for me overall.
A lot of guys got to create a whole album for it,
and
multiple albums.
some people had tragedies, right? Because I know 3 people that literally died from that, so that happens too. But I was lucky that it was really good to me, like nothing really ruined my life, right? But one good thing that came out of it was, well, good and bad, it ruined the entertainment industry, right? Bands weren't playing shows.
Absolutely.
People had shows booked, big bands had shows booked with
Tours
millions
were
of
canceled.
dollars.
Yeah, tours were
You know,
canceled.
unions involved and people and all done. And so Annika von Gershbergen, who is the singer from The Gathering, and then
You and I have both been fans
Dude.
for 30 years. Well,
The
20
Gathering
years,
is
20 years.
unbelievable. What?
Mandolin.
That's literally
I
my
think I
favorite
introduced you
thing.
to Mandolin like
No,
30 years ago.
it was
some shit.
It was always.
Always.
Which wasn't even.
fucking love that
It wasn't
album.
even Annika. It was just The Gathering.
Yeah, but that
before
album.
her.
That album's amazing.
Um,
Sorry.
So what happened was when the pandemic happened, her tours fell through, and that's literally her job. She's a musician, right? She's not working at a fucking Starbucks. She's a musician. So she had no source of income. So she decided to push out into the world using the internet and say, hey, look,
I'll do a track for you. Blah,
I am
blah,
willing to offer my services. Normally, her services are pretty expensive, I'd imagine, right? And she's like, I'm going to offer them for a rate that regular people can afford because I need to make a living here. And she was going to do it for 7 or 8 months, and she was going to pick one band per month that she was going to work with. So I jumped right at that opportunity because it was a dream come true, right?
Absolutely.
But the problem is, I'm like, I had a song I wanted her to sing on, but it's 18 minutes long. which is more than a regular song, right? So like I don't want it to be like I'm only going to offer like a 4-minute song here, not 18. That's a lot of extra work for everyone else.
Yeah.
So I threw it out there for a whim.
Did she charge you extra?
Nope.
That's
so
cool.
I threw the song out on a whim, and I gave her the lyrics and I gave her the music, and I told her, you know, I wrote like a little essay about what the song is about, right? And the song was about my journey through my first divorce, raising my daughter by myself, and what and what that does to you emotionally, and what you learn through that journey, and how that journey brought me to meeting my current wife,
who's awesome,
which has made my life significantly better than it ever was.
She's fucking awesome.
So what happened was, I pushed it to her, and she literally wrote back with a couple of days, like she loved it. She was like, "I love the lyrics, I love the music." She goes, "I will do your song. I'll sing on it." So I sent her the tracks, and within a week, because she's a professional, within a week,
don't fuck around.
like you gave me a song like that, you'd have it back in 6 months, right? Within a week, she sends it back, and I had 12 vocal tracks from her.
Yeah.
So I had 2 mains,
Sick.
I had 2 backups, I had harmonies, I had 12 separate tracks from this woman, and I was amazed, right? Because
Lots to choose from, man. That's
none of it needed any work. It was perfect, right? So then I worked to put it together with my engineer to, you know, put it where I wanted it, and then we put it out. Unfortunately, that album hasn't come out yet. It's been 3 years now. That album's done.
Get that done.
It's in the can. But I do feel good, you know, as a local musician. This is like my hobby, not my job, to actually get my favorite singer of all time on a song that I wrote about me that makes me feel good about. You know, makes me feel good, right? It's one of those things. It's like, okay, I'm doing something cool here.
Let's hope you guys get a chance to check that shit out.
It might come out soon. We'll have to talk later.
We'll see about that. We've been talking.
Hereafter is the name of the band, the name of the album.
Yeah.
Hereafter.
Yeah. But it's actually a full length. It's not an EP, so it's like it's an hour and 5 minutes long, I think. So it's actually a full album.
Yeah. Full.
But anyway, you know, so that's in the past.
So back to Vigil.
Right.
You got your bassist. You got you.
Yeah.
The core of the band.
And Justin.
And Justin, the core of the band. I'm just saying, like, you
is.
guys go way back.
Oh yeah.
You're the core.
Yeah.
You guys are fucking rocking. What happened?
So then, going way back to, I was answering your question about my backstory. So I stopped playing, became a car guy, and then I met who became my wife, and we had a child, and many years went by, and my bass was literally just a wall decoration in my living room for the longest time.
Yeah.
He wanted me to bring him to guitar lessons. I've started bringing him to guitar lessons. And so anyways, I didn't play for a number of years. My son was taking lessons. I started taking lessons because I wanted to learn music theory. And then I realized, I'm like, I have this bass from 1996.
Sitting there.
Well, I was bringing it for the lessons, but it was an old bass. You know, it was probably way out. You know, the neck was warped.
5-string, 4-string,
4-string. I had never even played a 5-string until
Okay. And you guys tuned to
B standard.
Yeah,
B,
just
okay,
B standard.
same as me. Okay, gotcha.
So I started taking lessons, and I got bit by the bug instantly. Like, it reinvigorated my love of playing again, and I hadn't had that for a long time. And
amazing feeling.
I started playing. I'm like, all right, I'm buying a new bass. So I bought a new bass, and I had it shipped to work where Craig was able to see it when it showed up. And, you know, I was super excited. And
And I believe I went, 4-string?
Yeah, 4-string. And I got a lot of shit. Oh,
And he was like, what?
Jesus, gold hardware? What are you playing for, Prince? So I started getting back into it, and, you know, he ended up at my house. So now I have a guitar rig at my house. So we ended up jamming in my basement, and we clicked really fast, which is weird because I never, even when I was playing in and out of bands with all different drummers and singers and guitarists, I never really clicked with anybody as fast as I clicked, even though I hadn't really played with somebody else.
Chemistry makes all.
Yeah, it seemed in my mind, I'm like, this is great. You know, this sounds awesome. But when we were done, when he said, he's like, wow, that was really fun. And right then and there, I was like, oh, it's not just me.
He likes me. Fuck
Something
yeah,
just
dude.
happened right there, and that couldn't be pushed aside or like. I don't know. It was organic. You know what I mean? It was orgasmic.
Hell yeah. Or something.
And you know, for me, like the older I get, my mantra is it needs to be fucking fun, right? Because I have a fucking job that I kind of hate, right? And I do that for fucking 50,
Hey,
60
can I
hours a week.
cheers to you on that? Because let's cheers to
We're
everybody
gonna
who
cheers
hates
to
their
that.
fucking job.
Yeah.
We're musicians. We have to work for a living.
But
It sucks.
I have my job because it allows me to do other stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
But anything I do outside of my job has to be fun, including the people I do it with. Like, I'm beyond that point where I have to do something for face value. Like,
Right.
if I don't fucking like you, I'm not hanging out with you. I don't have time for that. No one does. And my music journey, for me, has led me toward it needs to be fun. If it ain't fun, I ain't doing it, right?
Fuck yeah.
Because it's not easy. It's difficult, right? It costs a lot of money, it costs a lot of time.
The new Vigil EP, okay? Where did the inspiration come from to create that album? That's what I'm wondering.
It just happened. It was. It's like anything else. It's hard to
Like, did he bring
pinpoint.
ideas and you all brought ideas? How did it?
Well,
how did this happen?
So at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
the band is all of us, right? Like when you read the credits in the thing, it says lyrics and music by Vigil, because like
Right, because you're a band.
none of us want to. Even though at the end of the day, Dave wrote the lyrics, blah blah blah, but we all helped, and none of us want to separate it that way. We want to get the album out, try to find some support for it, right? We're trying to shop it around right now,
Right.
to get somebody that wants to pick it up. And we did all the front-loaded work. We spent all the money on it. It's complete. The artwork's done.
Right.
We've made a small sample run of 100 to sell at shows to kind of keep the buzz going. It's a soft release, I guess you'd call it.
Important.
But we'd really like to get some support for this, to get it in the hands of more people and get it in a bigger audience,
Could be your next album.
and maybe help get it on vinyl, that kind of thing. So we're working on that, which as we all know, everyone knows, that's not easy, right? Especially being in a death doom band, like, what I mean? Like,
Money and metal, yeah.
if I was in a country band, they'd be writing me a check right now.
Woo! Yeah, hell yeah.
So that's kind of in the background of what we're trying to do, and outside of that, we're just trying to play a couple of shows, stay relevant,
Keep
and
the fucking irons
and work
burning.
on songs for the next album we put out, whether it's an EP or a full length, we don't know. Our
Do you have songs ready? Anything?
we do we have fragments of songs, right? We have like pieces of songs written on the whiteboards that we're working on that we need to kind of put together. So
Riff A, B, C, blah, blah, blah.
yeah,
whatever.
and we have I would say 2 songs that are lined out enough to like start working on, but between our cycle going to the studio and then playing these shows during the winter, we haven't had time to really work on that because you want to stay good for the shows, right? But we're gonna start working on them soon, because the more shows you play, even if they're spread apart, you don't have to prep for them as much, right?
Right,
But
right.
the first 3 or 4 shows as a band you play, you really got to prep for those, because when you're in a room, you're all facing each other. When you're in a show, you're not. Everyone's behind
Right.
you.
You're
The drummer
fucking-
ain't looking at you. There's no eye
The
contact.
crowd's number one right now.
And you have to learn to feel. So no matter how many years you've played, you have to learn the people you're playing with.
Let me ask Joe a question. How does it feel to have done your first show ever?
It was amazing, actually. It was a huge weight lifted off
Did you
my
get that
shoulders.
rush
So
of adrenaline at
it's
first?
funny because the first show we played with both bands. So A World Worth Burning
Double
opened
fucking
for Vigil.
Double gig.
So I had
Holy
never
shit.
played live.
Like,
And it was like,
no
boom,
big deal.
boom, done. All right,
Alright, so
got it
tell me
out.
about your band. I gotta hear about A World Worth Burning. Let's hear about that.
Well, it's fun. It's post metal with a lot of post rock influence. It has some softer moments in it, but it's there's no
Is
vocals.
it more bass orientated, or is it more like?
No, there's 2 guitarists and 1 bassist. Randy, I don't know Randy's last name, so I can't.
LaChance.
LaChance. Okay,
LaChance,
well, you work
okay.
with him.
Yeah,
Another
and-
work guy.
he's new.
Another work guy, and another work guy of Craig's, Derek.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
That we've all known.
yeah, and I know Derek from having worked with him at
You
our
always
last
call
job.
Craig like this evil mastermind guy that's fucking bringing all the
Yeah.
dudes from work.
Yeah,
in.
every time a guy that he starts working with is a musician, they're in his band.
Well, it's funny you say that. Like, the Vigil thing and the A World Worth Burning thing, the way that happened was that the pandemic, back to that, changed everything for a while, right? Everybody, no matter what your leanings are or your beliefs, when it first happened, everyone was a little scared and a little concerned with, we're like, what the fuck's going on here, right?
gonna die
Because,
over
like, I've seen movies like this, I wasn't in it, right? So
Outbreak.
So yeah, it was 100%.
Scared the
So
fuck out of me,
so
yeah.
everybody kind of laid back a little bit to figure out what's going to happen. So what happened was in our band at that time, Vigil.
You had some time.
Well, Vigil had a bigger band at that time because we had a keyboard player for 6 months for a while.
Still there?
Maybe a little longer.
No, maybe more, about a year actually.
Did you play on the record?
No, it was Maureen Murphy from Benthic Realm.
Okay.
Right, great bass player, great keyboard player, great musician. But the
Kind of added his shit, or whatever. Yeah.
the pandemic kind of slowed everything down. So what happened was when the pandemic hit, me and Joe were working together side by side in the cubicle. So like we were together all day. So like we're like, well, there's no reason why we can't fucking jam because I'm with you all day. So hanging out with you in a room is not going to change that
Let's fucking
thing.
do this.
Whereas the rest of the guys in the band, they were like staying home because they were told to. That's what happened, right? So me and Joe just kept on using the room, kind of the way Vigil started. We had the room, might as well use it, right?
Absolutely.
We had the room, Vigil wasn't using it, so me and Joe just, for a while, we were working on Vigil stuff. And then every time we get together, we just jam, too, because we jam well. And we started to just write stuff that wasn't really Vigil related. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, one of my bucket lists is I always wanted to be in a 3-piece post-rock band, instrumental thing. Just 3 dudes, right?
That'll do it.
Keep it simple, no stress, just jam. More of a jam band, kind of, right? So what happened was we started writing songs that weren't Vigil related, and then it turned into a band. So him and I were writing, and I was talking to my friend Derek Clark at work. He's a drummer from years ago, right? He's been playing drums forever. But again, he wasn't in a band anymore, right? His life
Also
took
not
him
a
over.
metal drummer.
Not a metal drummer at all. Like double bass, off the menu, right?
about
Not his
that.
thing.
Forget about
But the dude has feel, and he's on the pocket, and he knows where the time changes happen. So he was like, hey, I want to come hang out with you guys because, you know, we had a kid in the room. He's like, I'll just keep a 4/4 beat for you so you guys can write songs.
See what happens.
He just wanted to be part of hanging out, and basically it was like
help
drinking
you guys
time.
write a record
Right.
just for the fuck of it.
And then what happened was, I'm like, cool. And you know, he was all about, if you find someone better, that's cool. I'll pull out. You find the guy you want. But then as we started writing songs and working with him, I'm like, this is the guy I want to play with, right? Because it's not always about the ability, because his ability is great, but it's about the person. Like, he's great to work with, right? And he makes it fun. So we just said, you know what? Fuck it, you're in the band.
And he was open to trying all these things that he knew he didn't know how to do
yeah.
at that point.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
that's really all you need.
He's
right,
doing
so-
things he's never done.
When's your release coming out? I mean,
Well,
what do you have?
So
Well,
we have to
Well.
finish our 4th song. That's our goal.
Yeah.
Finish our 4th song.
So you have 3.
We have 3
Finished.
3 in the can.
The 4th song's done, but we can't play it as a band well
Is
yet.
this like full length or EP length? How was the length?
It'll be
of
about
these
40
songs?
minutes. So it's
Almost an album.
hey, it's longer than Rain of
Close
Blood.
enough.
So in my opinion,
Exactly.
it
It's a
counts.
full record, dude. Fuck yeah.
So there's also Randy.
Right.
I don't want to leave that out.
I won't.
Okay.
So what happened was, while we were jamming as a 3-piece, right? I like working with other guitarists because I like harmonies and I like layers, right? And it's hard to do as one guitarist. So there's this buddy of mine that works with me. I found out that his band actually jammed in the room across the hall from me, and I didn't even know because
yeah.
we're on a different schedule, so I never saw him in the room ever, right? So I'm talking to him at work. He's like, "Oh, I'm in that room in Kingston." I'm like, "Oh shit!" So I started checking his band out, and I saw the dude's an amazing guitarist. So I'm like,
cool.
"Hey, I'm working on a project. Do you want to come over and see what you think?" And he came over and he liked it. So then we just started jamming with him. So now it's 2 guitarists, a bass, and a drummer, right?
That's fucking cool.
And again, it's
Love when that happens.
Well,
'Cause
again, it's like
meant to be kind
it's
of
bringing
shit.
people in, right? People
Yeah,
that I like
fuck
to
yeah.
be with. So it's good.
Anybody want a shot?
No, I got my drink on still. We're doing good. We're planning to hit in the studio. You know, I put a date in my head of like by the end of March, but that's just because if you don't put a date on it, you
What,
won't
for
ever
like a
push
finished
toward it.
song or something? Or
Well, to try to be in the studio by the end of March.
okay.
It might be a little
Have
bit
you been in
longer.
the studio?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Vigil.
No. I thought you were talking about. We're talking about the other band.
Oh yeah, that
Roll
band.
Up Burning.
Yeah,
This is
not
what
yet.
I'm.
This would be the first thing with that.
That's what I'm asking. So
Right.
when is this happening?
So
Soon.
soon. It'll be the first half of the year, I'm hoping. I was hoping to be sooner, but between the shows with Vigil and the writing cycle, you know, we're
Are
getting...
there any online samples that people can listen to?
Well, What With Burning has a really small Facebook page, you know, and the only thing we really have on there is we have edited clips of, like, our first show down in Alston,
You guys
Mass.
have played.
We played the show, and
Where
it's
was
like...
this at?
Les
Alston.
Randy.
Yeah, less Randy. It was a
Randy
three-piece
couldn't
then.
play the show, so we played it just the three of us.
Three-piece.
Yeah,
Which
Randy.
was his dream. So
Randy wasn't up to speed yet, so
Yeah.
like I wasn't gonna push it with him. The show fell on our
So
lap.
that's
Yeah.
online.
So that
it is.
show had many bands, and then 2 bands dropped off within a week of the show coming up.
Right.
So even though World War Burning wasn't ready and Randy couldn't play it, we're like, you know what? All of our shit's gonna be here.
You're playing like a
Let's
super
just
long
do
set
it.
too.
Yeah. Well, we played the only 3 songs we had.
Sometimes,
but we had to fill space. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
'Cause-
exactly. Sometimes they're
Yeah.
like, oh, they got some time. Play an extra song. Like we don't have
Yeah,
a
no,
song
we
that's
didn't
ready.
have
No,
any
we didn't
extra
do that.
songs.
You
but-
kidding me? I ain't
It was
fucking
either
ready.
2 bands, 3 bands, or no show.
Yeah,
So it's like, well,
make this
all of our
happen.
stuff's gonna be there. Derek, just bring your kit, and we just play
So
the show.
people can hear that. Where do they find that?
Our band, A World Worth Burning.
It's also putting it out.
We're hoping to hit the studio in the next couple of months. We're gonna finish our final song we want on the album, and then we're gonna just
How many songs is that going to be?
it'll be 4. So it'll be an EP, but it'll be 40 minutes.
Length 40 minutes.
About
Oh,
40
yeah.
minutes,
Yeah, yeah.
45 maybe.
Long songs.
Yeah, we have
And
longer
this
songs.
is a instrumental band.
It is.
Just to be clear.
And it's instrumental in the vein of like Russian Circles, Long Distance Calling,
fucking love that band.
My Sleeping Karma. Like it's these bands that we love that are just instrumental. Like it's almost just jam music,
Melodic.
right? It is.
But it's at the same time very emotional, atmospheric,
Right.
and no vocals.
Yep. So that's that other side of what we do. You know, that's a spillover from the riff we write that might become something else. On Facebook, look up A World Worth Burning. That's kind of our trajectory right now is just trying to book some shows, get the album out there, record the other band, try to get that album out there. And, you know, maybe
Absolutely.
from the help of Dan and Willow Soul Productions, maybe we can help get some of these things out
Absolutely,
to the world,
man.
right?
I'm down. I'm down.
And so we're going to talk about that offline, of course.
yes. Let's talk about Brandon for a minute.
All right.
How did you hook up with Brandon? Because Brandon's a cool guy.
It is.
I've known
So
for
this is a weird thing, right? So we were looking for a drummer in Vigil, right?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we knew he was a drummer,
Yeah.
but then for some reason we never connected to those dots.
Did you ever get him to sing on your album? Because he has a good voice. He's
Oh,
a
yeah.
singer. He's
Yeah.
a
He
singer.
sings on the album.
If you listen to
Okay.
the first song, the first single we released
Yep.
on the album,
Yep. Yep.
there's a chorus spot that happens 2 times. And in that chorus spot, it's actually clean sung. The rest of the album's all growls, right? But there's this 2 spots that are clean sung,
Uh-huh.
and 85% of that is all Brandon.
I had a feeling about that.
And
Yeah, yeah.
the funny thing is this: like we didn't know it till we heard him in the studio. That dude has a power metal voice. He's like up here,
He's got
He
a
has
range.
a high
He's got a
range. and that chorus spot is really a shining moment of that song too,
Yeah.
which is really cool. But I don't want to diminish his drum work. So his drum work on that album is fucking ridiculous. You know, he's always
He's
like
grown a lot.
like
in the
all of
last
us.
5 years.
He comes
I'd
down
say.
on himself like we all do. But
course.
I'm telling you, man, his drum work is spot on for what the album needed.
Absolutely.
And he killed it. So, and you know what's funny is, like, he talks about his practice regimen. He practices 3 or 4 times a week, and he films them, and he like, live streams his practices on Facebook,
Oh, really?
which is kind of
I didn't
scary
know that.
because,
That's a
you
little
know,
weird.
you know,
Yeah.
assholes comment and they say whatever, but he literally just does it because he's practicing and he wants people to watch what he's doing.
Yeah.
Hoping
Document
that
it,
maybe it'll
whatever.
inspire somebody. So, like, I'm looking at it like, this dude practices more than I do. Like he plays
Well, he's
all the
younger than
time.
us, too. He's younger.
Well, he is younger,
He's
so
in
he
his
can.
30s, right?
35, 36,
How fucked
maybe.
up is
Give or
that?
take.
We're in
I don't know.
late 40s.
So,
dude.
but anyway, having him in the band's great because he brings that, like,
Youth.
I want to
first
say
off.
youth, but he also brings this like immediacy. Like he's like, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. Like he's always
Yeah.
on point to like move things forward because he's impatient, right?
I remember that. I was in a band with 3 of the members of Vigil before Vigil. And, yeah, so I guess I have a personal connection to the band.
It's incestuous if we were to put a
yeah,
name
a
to
little
it.
incestuous.
It really is, and that's what every music scene is like. That
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Every band, every scene has shared members, and that's how the scene grows, right?
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, like, you know, back in the day, we're talking 95, 96.
Ugh.
I'd go down to your mom's house with you, and like I'd work on riffs so that you could hear the riff while you're thinking about a lyric line. You know,
Yeah.
but you want someone to play it so you can sing it. So like, you know, you and I
Go
did
way.
you and I did a lot of Shroud stuff
Yeah.
that like I didn't write the Shroud stuff, but I would play it so that you could actually work out the
You
pieces.
helped. Ultimately, you helped.
And we helped.
For sure.
So,
Absolutely.
And that's what we all did as a group. As a community, we worked our music together to make it move
That's
forward.
the shit that nobody knows about, which
Right.
is cool. Look, the history. Music's depressing because we're doing what we enjoy. We dedicate so much time of our life to create, and then it just goes by the wayside. It's fucking depressing.
Right. You know, all 50 of our fans listen to our shit, and that's it. It's so funny.
It's so depressing.
But, you know,
dude.
but at the end of the day, like, you know, when you're 20 years old
yeah.
and you're in a band, you're doing it for everyone else.
Nowadays, you're like,
when you're
fuck you,
almost
it's for
50,
me.
you're doing a
Yeah.
band because you fucking want to.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
It's
it takes
true.
time out of my life, precious time, that I do
Time away from your kids,
because
from your
I
family,
want to
from
do
your
it.
job, from your friends.
Right. And I do it because I do it because it's fun and I want to do it. So I don't care if anyone likes what I do.
Fuck it. It's
I just
for
wanna
you.
do it.
It's
Right.
all it's for.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part because people will, you know, you get the comment section, oh, you guys suck, but whatever they want to fucking say.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't care what you say, dude. We're doing this for me, for us. It's only for us. If you like it, cool, jump on board. If not, I don't care.
Enjoying the excesses of unpopular music. It's not my
That
profession.
doesn't pay the bills.
Does not pay the bills.
It actually costs more money.
Costs me
Come on.
It costs more money every night.
Yeah, music, dude. Music's a net loss. It doesn't matter what. you do.
100%.
Dude, I've never made money in anything I do.
Unless you're playing covers, then you
Right.
can make money.
Or in a country band. You have been an influence in my life that way because you were on the stuff that I wasn't quite in tune to.
We weren't ready yet. But whatever.
And,
Fucking,
and then you were like pushing them at me. Like, I'll never forget the first time I heard Morning Rise from Opeth.
Oh my god,
Right?
what a life-changing album.
So here's how
Tiamat too, Wild Honey.
oh my god. So
Yeah.
the Opeth album for me, you and I didn't listen to it together. You literally threw it in a bag for me and I went home and I went through them. And when I played that CD, it stopped me cold when I heard it. Out of all the CDs, I'm like, this
Bid
is
You Farewell,
fucking
dude. To Bid You
ridiculous.
Farewell was fucking amazing.
And then what happened was, I shared it with like 3 of my friends. I'm like, you have to come over to my house right now, and we're gonna smoke a joint, and we're gonna play this fucking CD. And we did. And like all of us, we were like blown away because that album is ridiculous.
They use a lot of sus chords.
So anyway, so you know, our history is not only like a friendship thing, but it's a music thing, right? Like you brought music to me that I wasn't finding.
Well, here's the thing too. My girlfriend, I was 16. I wrote an album about how she broke my heart. Her best friend was your wife. Your wife ripped your fucking heart out.
Oh yeah.
So we both got completely fucked emotionally over all that shit, and music is what brought us together. What it got us
Well,
through.
it kept us together.
Yeah, it got us through that
Right.
fucking turmoil, whatever you want to say, which shaped our music careers. So
It
it's-
did. It did.
Career, if you want to call
Because
it that.
well, that's what happened was like, you know, there's a couple of bands that I would lay out as influences for me for where I am now versus where I was when I was younger,
yeah,
and it would be Opeth, Catatonia,
the
Mind
Gavrin's gotta
Rot.
be in there. Oh,
Mind
fucking
Rot.
Mind Rot, dude.
Dude,
Hell yeah.
no one talks about Mind Rot, and it makes me so fucking mad that they don't. Because Mind Rot was amazing.
Did you read the liner notes to our last album?
I don't read.
Adrian sang on the last. Well, he
I know.
wrote melodies.
I know,
He didn't
and
sing,
that's
but he wrote
awesome.
melodies on the last album.
Yes.
He changed that song, and I've been a fan of his since we were talking.
This is where I wanted to go with this conversation was how far back Dan and I go, right? So Dan and I go back to he was still in high school and I was just out of high school.
Yeah.
But so we're talking 94, 95.
A little
And
depressing.
one of
being old.
my favorite memories is this. So my favorite band nowadays, still now, is The Gathering
Fuck yeah.
and the old generation where it had Anake singing. And
Before Elway,
the-
always was
the,
awesome.
The one thing Dan always did for me was Dan always had CDs. He had like a giant collection. Every week he'd have like somehow, I don't know what he did. He always had new CDs, new music. He was trading, CDs, kind of like the old tape trading. You would do a CD trading back then.
Yeah, back in the day.
And at that time of my life, I wasn't in that kind of zone. So
you're working full time.
So you would
What a
always show
kid.
up and you're like, hey, here's 20 CDs I found, and I would literally take them from you.
It takes 6 months
and
to get my CDs
I would
back, but you
I would
got
burn
all-
them in my computer, and then
Yeah.
I'd play through them. So you actually kind of formed my new music thing, because I found a couple of bands on my own, like, originally way back, I found, old Fear Factory and old Carcass were really my introduction to like the death metal thing. Mm-hmm. Now people are going to argue about Fear Factory being death metal, but
I never liked it, but it's cool.
It was the growly vocals he did, because I came from thrash, right? So I was into Pantera and Exodus. Fear Factory is a little bit different than that. And then of course, Carcass for me, the album that really shifted me
Carcass was so melodic. They were so
for me. It
was
Necroticism. That album.
Fuck yeah.
That album changed my outlook on music. Right. I'm like, holy shit, this could be a thing. Right.
Yeah.
So I started to chase that kind of direction, and then Beavis and Butthead actually introduced me to Morbid Angel.
Covenant.
Because they had that song, God of Emptiness.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm watching it going, what the hell is this shit?
Oh, to me.
I had never heard anything like that back in 92, 93, right?
Old.
So I was suddenly sucked into this world. And then you started saying, wait a minute, you like this stuff? Dude, there's all this stuff.
Check this out.
And then you would like pull these CDs to me. So a lot of who I am today comes from the stuff that you were seeing, because you and I saw different paths, because we saw different music.
Well, we met in the middle.
We did.
We met.
And like one of my favorite bands, Nightingale. The first Nightingale album.
Yeah, dude.
The Breathing Shadows.
The GOAT.
That fucking album inspired half of my guitar tones
Me too,
I use.
brother.
Right?
The two albums.
So
1 and 2. 1 and 2 was.
So like it was interesting, the trajectory, because I went from I went from the 80s thrash, Overkill, Nuclear Assault.
Then you
Slayer.
went to Arion.
I did.
And
well, no,
bands
you know
too.
what?
Yeah,
you're actually wrong. I got turned to Arion because I went to your house when you were over in Keene.
Yeah.
Was it Keene you lived in? It was way out west. It was Keene,
Fitzwilliam.
Ringe?
Fitzwilliam.
Yeah. So I went to your apartment, and when I was leaving, you always wanted to send me out with like a bag of CDs. You're like the Italian grandmother that's like, here, have some of this food, right? I'd always leave and you'd have a bag of CDs for me to like go home and listen to. So I guess in closing, at the end of the day, we're just a bunch of older dudes,
old fucks,
that are doing what we love, and we wish people would hear it, and I hope they enjoy it when they hear it, right?
So where can we find this again? One more time, just so everybody knows.
So our biggest presence would be on Bandcamp now to find the album. Mm-hmm. So it's Vigil_Doom on Bandcamp.com. And on there, you'll see 2 of our singles, which are 2 of the 4 songs on the album. And you can also buy the actual physical copy of the CD.
Which I have a copy of.
Do you have a copy of that?
I'm going to show my copy right now so everybody can see.
Let me see it. Let me see it. So here's the...
look at this guy.
We have the actual Vigil.
Can't see that.
And it opens up. It's a full CD.
Let me give you some stickers.
And we got some stickers that came out. Is that it upside down? That's right. So anyway,
pretty cool.
So it's a physical copy. So you can order a physical copy off of Bandcamp, and we have shirts.
And it's bandcamp.com/doom or something.
It's Vigil_Doom.
Vigil
on Bandcamp. So if you go to Bandcamp, go to the search, and then you put Vigil_Doom.
We're gonna put the links in the descriptions. Anyway.
So you can get physical copies of our CD. And you can get shirts of the CD print that we have. They're long sleeve, has words on the arm. One of the best things is to come see us live, right? So we have some shows coming up. So we have a show this Saturday, which by the time this podcast comes out, it'll probably already have happened. But it's February, what's the date?
Joe, where is that?
4th.
February 4th. It's at Sammy's down in... Revere. I want to say Rowley for some reason. It was Revere, Mass.
Right on the beach.
Yep. Yeah, Sammy's in Revere. Everyone watching this knows Sammy's in Revere. And then in April 7th, we have a show at Kodo in Salem, Mass.
Well, what? Never heard of that. Onara.
Onara.
See,
Onara has a Facebook page, and we have a YouTube page. We have a music video that our buddy Dan Blomquist made. He's from... Conclave, and he's also in Benthic Realm. He plays drums.
Okay.
He really liked our song "Cold Hands Caress," and he asked if we could make a video.
Song.
He's like, "I want to make a video for the song," so he made a video for that song.
When this video's done, I'm going to show you.
That's up there.
I'll show you "Cold Hands Caress" from 30 years ago.
So
you got a video up.
Yep.
You have a YouTube page and a Facebook page.
Yep.
For
For Onera.
Onera. And now the other band?
You wear corsets.
What's
but-
the other band's? Is there any connection to the band?
Well,
The other side project. This is a side project. It's important.
there is. So the side project, A World Worth Burning.
Yeah, a world worth burning, everybody.
Yeah, we have a Facebook page, and that's kind of all we have right now because we're just still starting. But we will, once we get the album recorded,
You're gonna get it.
which is coming up.
It's coming.
A couple of months, we're going to go to the studio, and then we'll have a Bandcamp presence. So if you look up A World Worth Burning, and then you'll see on Facebook,
Yeah.
and you'll see either me or Joe's face. Like, look at us here. You'll see
Nobody
us.
wants to look at this guy. Maybe
And
they'll
then,
look at
and
him.
then you'll find us. But again, we'll put the links on the podcast.
Yes. We'll see the
A
description.
couple more months, we're gonna be in the studio. It'll be a 4-song release. It's instrumental. It's post-rock / post-metal kind of instrumental stuff. Very jammy, very groovy,
Moody.
atmospheric, and no vocals to fuck it up for anybody, right? Because people no one likes growls, no one likes high stuff, no one likes this. People are so picky about vocals.
Shut the fuck up and listen
Right.
to the music.
So you know what? I'm giving them just the fucking music.
Yeah,
Here's
I
the
like
music
that.
you want to hear, and no words to fuck it up.
That's beautiful.
So that's pretty much it.
So that's Craig and Joe of Vigil and A World Worth Burning. You can check out their stuff in the description. Here's the CD. Check it out. They're New England-based death doom metal. Long friends of Shredder Bereavement and everything that I've done. So I've known this kid my whole life.
Long
This
friends,
guy-
like
this
long-
guy?
long friends.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
2 whole hours.
We've been hanging out for
Yes.
at least
Oh,
2 or
shit.
3 hours.
It's been 4.
4 hours.
One
So-
pile like that.
Everybody, please go to the links in the descriptions. Check out their bands. Check out the label. And that's all we got for you tonight.
Thanks for showing up.
Craig, Joe, see you later. I'm Dan. See you later, guys.
Cheers.
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 Cheers, motherfuckers.
Shut it down.
For the metal. And the old people like us.